Good evening, Hampton Roads. Welcome to another edition of Dollars and Common Sense, your local source for objective, unbiased financial advice. I'm your host, certified financial planner Kevin Zivna, coming to you live like I do every second and fourth Tuesday of the month to dialogue with you, take your calls. If you have a question or comment relating to your own personal financial situation or anything we're talking about here tonight, jump on the phone lines. Give me a call, 627-7979. All we need is your first name, city you're calling from, and no matter what I'm talking about, if it's important to you, then it's important to me. We'll get you right on air, 627-7979. Wealthway Financial Advisors is the proud sponsor of Dollars and Common Sense. We are an independent registered investment advisor, which means we're legally held to a fiduciary standard to put our clients' interest ahead of our own in any business dealing or recommendation that we make. As the premier financial planning firm in Hampton Roads, we integrate expert investment management with customized ongoing financial planning advice to help our clients answer life's big financial questions and enhance their quality of life. So by design, we can't work with everyone. We work with a relatively small group of high net worth individuals, but that's one of the reasons we feel so strongly about coming here every second and fourth Tuesday at 6 p.m. That's to reach out and help as many people in the Hampton Roads listening area that we can achieve your measure of financial success, because it is a core belief at Wealthway Advisors that the overwhelming majority of people in this country have the opportunity for financial security if they choose it. And it is a choice because it takes some time, it takes some effort, and it takes some knowledge. We are here to help. You got to take that first step, though. Pick up the phone, give me a call, 627-7979. Whether you want to talk about anything having to do with the investment markets, the economy, insurance products like life insurance, health insurance, property casualty, taxes, tax planning, tax reduction strategies, retirement planning, retirement plans, 401ks, 403bs, TSPs, 457, IRAs, Roth IRAs, mortgage options, Social Security claiming strategies, or estate planning, wills and trusts, all that and more falls under the umbrella of personal finance. We are here to discuss tonight, 627-7979. All right, tonight we're going to talk about regrets. I've had a few, right? Financial regrets. Most people have had them throughout the course of their life at one time or another. We're going to talk about some of those regrets and what you can do to avoid them or try to put them in the rearview mirror as quickly as possible. Let's put it that way. So in no particular order, some of the biggest financial regrets that consumers say they have regarding finances is, number one, accumulating too much credit card debt. Not surprising. Credit cards can be a double-edged sword. And while they provide convenience and rewards, carrying a balance leads to higher interest rates, often exceeding 20% per year. And this can make it difficult to pay off the debt and can trap you in a cycle of high payments and increasing debt. Yes, the credit card debt spiral. Once you get sucked in, it's hard to extricate yourself out of the credit card debt hole. It's very easy to achieve, to get credit cards, to get credit card limits, to get limits increased. And banks and other financial institutions make it very enticing because they often shower you with trinkets and some rewards to incent you to get credit cards and then allow you to make an exceptionally low monthly payment on your credit card debt. Almost all of that is financially hazardous to your health. Good credit card use is using them for convenience and then paying them off in full every month. And then if there's some sort of rewards program attached to the credit card, like airline miles or hotel room points or cash back rewards, then by all means, you should try to take advantage of those benefits, but not at the expense of paying interest on the credit card, because most credit card debt is the most expensive form of debt that exists pretty much in our society today. And it's a common problem, especially among younger people when they are first starting out, don't have much in the way of income, and have a lot of needs to furnish an apartment or put gas in the car or buy clothes for work. And not having earned money, they have not yet saved much money, and so enter the credit card to fill the gap. And it can be very seductive, the use of that credit card, because it makes the achievement or the attainment of these material possessions very easy, and the repayment of them relatively painless in the immediate term. It's only over time that, as the debt on the credit card continues to grow and the interest continues to get added on it, does the reality set in that perhaps this was not the wisest financial decision. So accumulating large credit card debt, one of the biggest regrets that most people have in their financial lives. Be careful with it. Use it wisely. It can be your friend if used properly. The best way to stay out of credit card debt is sort of regret number 2, and that is not saving enough for emergencies. If you do save enough for emergencies, then you don't have to use your credit card to bail yourself out. Or if you do and use it for convenience, then you have the funds stashed away in a savings account where you can pay off that credit card in full at the end of the month. So not saving enough for emergencies, also a top financial regret. Life is unpredictable, and unexpected expenses like medical emergencies, car repairs, job loss can arise at any time. Without an emergency fund, you may have to rely on high-interest loans or credit cards, further exacerbating the financial stress. An emergency fund is something that we would define as 3 to 6 months of household expenses, kept away safely in a bank, savings account, not really a checking account. That should be more transactional. So it should be at least segregated in a savings account. Better yet, current rates on savings and checking accounts are still paltry. So better yet, taking advantage of some of the higher yielding accounts available in most banks that pay, at least in this environment, 3%, sometimes 4%. We were seeing 5% there for a little while. That's largely backed off, but a different type of savings account from your bank or credit union. Now, they come in with different names and different forms: money market bank account, super saver bank account, something like that. They usually come with a little bit more restrictions. Something like you might have to deposit at least $10,000 in the accounts, and probably can only make usually it's 6 withdrawals per month. But those parameters should be easily met with a proper use of an emergency fund. And by parking the money in those types of accounts, you get it out of the checking account, so you're not tempted to spend it, and you earn higher rates of return than on prevailing savings and checking rates that we're seeing right now. There's still many of them paying like 0.1% or even 0% in some cases. So make sure that you have an emergency fund. Not having money saved for emergency, one of Americans' largest financial regrets. Then another big regret, overspending on a home. So home purchases are obviously important, somewhat of the backbone of the American economy, and often thought of as the American dream. If you own a house, you've achieved the American dream. I really don't think it's that romantic, I think it's nice to be a homeowner, but it also comes with its own challenges, responsibilities, and costs. So I wouldn't romanticize it quite that way, but achieving ownership of a home is a milestone in many people's lives and something that most people aspire to achieve. But your home is often the biggest purchase that you'll ever make. And so overextending on a mortgage can leave little room for other expenses and savings, leading to future financial strain. So it's important to buy within your means to maintain a comfortable financial cushion. Ideally, you want to save 20% of the home price as a down payment to avoid paying any private mortgage insurance and to get the most favorable rates, 20% of the home value. On a $500,000 house, well, that's a $100,000 down payment. And certainly when you're just starting out in your 20s and even 30s, trying to get to $100,000 feels impossible. I get that. So, average home price in Hampton Roads, I believe we're around $300,000 now. For a long while, it was around $250,000, but between $250,000 and $300,000, call it, for the average home price. So let's say a starter home, townhouse, condo, $200,000. Well, saving 20% for that, that's $40,000. That makes things a little bit more achievable. Well, I don't want to live in a house that small. I want a bigger house. I want nice countertops and so forth. Well, everyone does, but we all have to start somewhere. So start responsibly. Save enough money for the house, for the proper down payment for a house purchase. Purchase one that gives you enough breathing room in your monthly budget to take care of other life expenses. So typically, most banks like to see a 40% debt-to-income ratio. That means 40% of your gross monthly income or less is made up of your mortgage payment. Okay? Now, gross monthly. So out of gross comes state and federal taxes and Social Security taxes and a bunch of other taxes. So really, of your take-home pay, you're probably, taxes usually eat up 20 to 25% of your gross, 40% for your mortgage. That's 65 total. That's going out the door. That only leaves you with about 35% of your gross monthly salary for life, for your car payment, for groceries, for utilities. So so 40% is kind of the metric. Now, each lending institution has kind of its own level there, but generally 40% is the number. So when you're ready to buy a home, buy responsibly, save up for appropriate down payment, and then make sure that mortgage payment, regardless of what the bank or the lender will give you, make sure it's something that you can comfortably pay each month. Going to pause right here for a break. If you want to jump in on the conversation, 627-7979. I'm Certified Financial Planner Kevin Zivna. You're listening to Dollars and Common Sense on News Talk 790 WNIS.
Wealthway Financial Advisors, planning for life. Wealthway Financial Advisors, planning for life.
And welcome back to Dollars and Common Sense, your local source for objective, unbiased financial advice. I'm Certified Financial Planner Kevin Zivna, the president of Wealthway Financial Advisors, the premier financial planning firm in Hampton Roads, where we integrate expert investment management with customized ongoing financial planning advice to help our clients answer life's big financial questions and enhance their quality of life. For more information about us, you can look us up online at wealthwayadvisors.com. All right, tonight we're talking about financial regrets and how to avoid them. So we talked about accumulating credit card debt, not saving for emergencies, not having that ample emergency fund, and then overspending on a home. Just because somebody will give you a loan for a certain amount does not necessarily mean that you can comfortably afford it. You are the final judge, okay? Things have tightened up here since the housing crisis of 2008, 2009, but still, it's up to you to decide how much you can afford, regardless of how much the bank will lend you. All right, here's another one. Not investing early enough. Yes, time is a powerful ally when it comes to investing. And the earlier you start, the more you benefit from compound interest, where the investment gains generate their own earnings, compounded interest. Delaying investing means missing out on potentially significant growth over the years. And if there's probably the most common regret we hear from our clients when they come to us is, I wish I had done this sooner. Like no one ever regrets doing it too early. No one ever regrets getting their financial house in order too early. No one ever regrets starting to save too early or to start to invest too early. So the time to really, for most people, to start investing is when you get your first job. And when you get your first job, for most of us, we have a company-sponsored retirement plan, 401k plan, TSP for the military, 457 for government workers, 403Bs for teachers and hospital workers. So some sort of company-sponsored retirement plan. That is your easiest and best place to go to start investing early. Money's withheld from your paycheck. You don't even see it. It doesn't get in your hot little hands. No danger of it getting spent erroneously. Goes into the plan for you. Usually there's a company match, 3% typically of your gross salary up to a certain amount. You get that. That's free money from your employer. You don't want to leave that on the table. And then you make sure you get, once it gets into the plan, you get it invested appropriately for growth. That usually means stock funds of some sort. So make sure the earlier you start, the less money it takes to have a lot of money one day. It does not take a lot of money to have a lot of money one day. It takes a lot of time. So you have time on your side, use it. Start with a little bit of money and then gradually increase it over time with the increases in pay you get from work. And if that's something that you haven't done for yourself and you've missed that opportunity, then give your kids one of the greatest gifts that you possibly can and communicate to them to get them started earlier. And if there's something that you can do, is you can open up have them open up a Roth IRA in their name and gift them some money to get it in that Roth IRA for their long-term retirement planning. One of the greatest gifts that you can give to your kids, and it doesn't cost a lot of money to do that to get started. All right, here's another one. Taking on excessive student loans. Absolutely. And while education can be a valuable investment, excessive student loans can become a financial burden. High monthly payments will limit your financial freedom and delay other life goals such as buying a house or starting a family. So, yeah, boy, there's so much wrapped up in this. Don't borrow too much for a major that pays too little. You know, ever since the federal government got into the easy education lending business, meaning that almost anyone who wants almost however much money they need to go to school to educate themselves in whatever major, basically a lot of free money with very little restriction, the price of college has shot through the roof because there's no incentive for them to rein in price, when they know their students and their students' parents can get the money from the government and government loans. Which it all sounds good in theory, but in practice, what we're seeing, obviously, is a lot of students and a lot of parents saddled with tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars of student loan debt, and that is crushing. A little bit of debt, that's good. No problem. We'd like to see that. We like to have kids have financial stake in their education. It's one of the first grown-up lessons they're going to learn is to pay back their student loan. Having a little bit of debt is good and healthy. Having too much is crushing and debilitating. So make sure you take out an appropriate level of student loans and make sure that whatever you take out goes to an educational pursuit that you can use to generate an income for yourself that allows you to pay back those student loans. All right, going to take a break here for the news. Going to be back in just a couple minutes. If you want to jump in on the conversation, 627-7979. I'm certified financial planner Kevin Zivna. You're listening to Dollars and Common Sense on News Talk 790 WNIS.
Wealthway Financial Advisors, planning for life. Wealthway Financial Advisors, planning for life.
And welcome back to Dollars and Common Sense, your local source for objective, unbiased financial advice. I'm certified financial planner Kevin Zivna, the president of Wealthway Financial Advisors, the premier financial planning firm in Hampton Roads, where we integrate expert investment management with customized ongoing financial planning advice to help our clients answer life's big financial questions and enhance their quality of life. For more information about us, you can look us up online at wealthwayadvisors.com. Once there, you can request an information packet to find out what it's like to work with us, or sign up for a free quarterly newsletter at wealthwayadvisors.com. Just go to the Request a Consultation page, put your name and address in the dialog boxes there, select the appropriate drop-down menu, and we'll get that information out to you later on this week. And that's all we will use your name and address for, is just to send you the information that you request. Or if you got some nuanced questions, want to speak to a live human being, give us a call at the office, 456-2200. Want to remind everybody our next live show will be on Tuesday, March 11th. At 6 p.m. as usual. But if you can't catch us live every second and fourth Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m., get this show as a podcast. Search for Dollars and Common Sense wherever you get your podcast. Download us, take us with you where you go, and listen at your convenience. And for those of you into social media, we have a presence on Facebook and LinkedIn. Search for Wealthway Financial Advisors, hit that like or follow button, and then once every week or two, we put up an interesting and informative financial planning post to keep you engaged in the process. All right, tonight we're talking about financial regrets and what to do about how to avoid them. One of the next ones we have coming up, buying a new car, is really not too intuitive. But let's talk about that for a second. So a lot of people regret buying a new car. New cars lose value quickly, often depreciating by 20 to 30% within the first year. And so this makes them sort of a suboptimal financial decision, especially for young buyers, compared to buying a reliable used car. Used cars retain their value a little bit better and then can save you money up front and over the long term because you paid less for the transportation vehicle. Now, certainly once you've reached middle age, substantial income, buying a new car is not the worst thing in the world. But what is suboptimal when you buy a new car is when you constantly trade in the vehicle in a short amount of time. So usually 2 to 3 years. If you're buying new and trading in every 2 to 3 years, you're probably not getting good value out of that strategy. If you're intent on doing that because you want a new car every 2 to 3 years, or you've reached a point where you can enjoy that luxury, then leasing is probably the better option for you. But for most people, if you want to buy a new car, and as long as you hold on to that new car for at least 5 years, usually closer to 10 if you can make it last that long, then that probably is a good financial decision. That is a good use of buying a new car. And because we also know that buying used, while that might be good for a little while, they also have the tendency to break down a little sooner and cost more in repairs. So just be careful when making your car purchase decision and make sure it's suitable for you. Okay, next one. How about big financial regret? Not negotiating your salary. So negotiating your salary can have a significant impact on your lifetime earnings, right? Because failing to negotiate can result in lost income and missed opportunities for better compensation, benefits, and career advancement. However, I will say, be very, very careful when doing that. All that is true, right? Our most valuable financial asset that most all of us have is our lifetime earning potential. That is where we will make the most money throughout our life, is through our salary and wages at our job. And so the more you can get paid through your job, obviously, then the more money you will make and the more financial rewards you can enjoy. However, negotiating salary, I hesitate to put this one in there, but it came up on the list. So when it comes to negotiating salary, be careful. It's a minefield. It's probably the most emotionally sensitive conversation between an employee and employer. And there's a right way to do it, and there's a wrong way to do it. You must go in with a detailed plan. Do not think that you can do it like they do it in the movies. Do not charge into your boss's office, pound the table, and say, I deserve a raise. Give it to me or I'm out of here. That is not an effective strategy for getting a raise. It's probably an effective raise for getting fired relatively soon. So it's very valuable to your lifetime earnings, but you have to do it very carefully. And doing it the wrong way can lead to negative consequences. At a minimum, it can tarnish the relationship that you have with your employer and your immediate supervisor. I mean, think about it. What you're essentially doing is you're going into your employer saying, I'm not feeling fully valued here. I don't feel I'm fully appreciated. I think I'm being paid less than I'm worth. Okay? And your employer or your boss is looking back at you over the table and saying, oh, yeah? Well, we do salary surveys every year, and so we know what the range is in our local marketplace for a company our size and for your particular job description, and that we know that you are in the middle of that range or slightly higher. So, Mr. or Mrs. Employee, you prove to me that you deserve a raise, and that's what you are essentially doing. So you need to go in prepared to justify how your work performance deserves to be compensated more than what you're getting currently. So it is a political minefield, and so we have to recognize that. It's not as easy as just walking in demanding. In fact, if you just walk into your boss and say, I want more money or I deserve more money, that is almost certainly going to fray your relationship with your employer. You go in armed with facts, with documents, with research, with salary ranges. Also keep in mind the region of the country that you work in. Hampton Roads, we are about dead middle in terms of cost of living when you look at the government salary indexes. Hampton Roads is at about mid-range. So obviously, people here are not going to command as high a salary as they do in D.C. or in New York City or Chicago or L.A. or Atlanta, right? The same job is going to be paid less here because our cost of living is also less. It's all relative. So you got to compare apples to apples, and you got to know that going in if you're going to have that conversation with your employer. If you don't recognize that, and your employer comes back to you with those facts and figures, then you don't look prepared, and you don't look like you deserve a raise, when you do something like that. So, Well, I've put it on the list as saying that a regret, because many people have the regret of not negotiating for a higher salary, is true. It's also a political minefield that you have to be very careful about how you have that conversation, because while it could benefit you, it could also turn very negative very quickly. All right, one more before the next break. Ignoring retirement savings. Yeah, very similar to failing to start saving early, but ignoring retirement savings. So some people will save into the bank and they'll build up their emergency fund, and they got that foundation covered. That's good. But now we got to get to long-term savings, specifically for your retirement, that period of time when we cease earning an income, and then have to rely on our own resources in order to maintain our standard of living. So delaying retirement contributions means missing out on the benefits of compound growth. Even small, regular contributions can grow significantly over time and provide you with financial security in your later years. Most people think, though, what most people do is that it's very easy to put this off until tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and they put it off to the next tomorrow, and so on and so forth. The retirement idea is very theoretical when you're in your 20s, 30s, and even for some people, early 40s. About age 50 is when the retirement idea goes from theoretical to practical, and then people wake up and say, oh yeah, I guess I'm maybe only 10 to 15 years away from this thing called retirement. If I want to have a successful one, then I have to save up more money. So don't wait to that point to let it happen. Get in your company retirement, enroll in your company retirement plan. Make sure you get your company matches and start as early as you can. Don't keep putting it off. It's only going to be harder to build up the money the longer that you wait. All right, going to pause right here for a last break. We'll be back after these messages. 627-7979. I'm Certified Financial Planner Kevin Zivna. You're listening to Dollars and Common Sense on News Talk 790 WNIS.
Wealthway Financial Advisors, planning for life. Wealthway Financial Advisors, planning for life.
And welcome back to Dollars and Common Sense, your local source for objective, unbiased financial advice. I'm Certified Financial Planner Kevin Zivna, the president of Wealthway Financial Advisors, the premier financial planning firm in Hampton Roads, where we integrate expert investment management with customized, ongoing financial planning advice to help our clients answer life's big financial questions and enhance their quality of life. For more information about us, you can look us up online at wealthwayadvisors.com. Tonight, we're talking about financial regret, some of the largest financial regret of American consumers, and also like what you can do to avoid that regret. A fair number of these have to do with timing. Like I said earlier, almost no one ever regrets starting early in saving, investing, building an emergency fund. Almost no one ever regrets that. I never hear that. Oh, geez, I wish I didn't start so young to build up my net worth. No. But most people regret waiting too long to get started. So if there's one overriding theme to all of this, is that time is it's a depreciating resource. We all have a finite amount of it. The more time that you have, the easier it is to build up substantial savings and investments and grow your net worth. It doesn't take a lot of money to one day have a lot of money if you have a lot of time and you take advantage of it. So the earlier you start, the less it takes to eventually build up significant savings and investments. All right, how about some others here? Impulse purchases. Impulse buying can lead to regret and financial strain. It's important to differentiate between needs and wants and to make thoughtful purchasing decisions to avoid unnecessary debt and clutter. Well, that's common sense, obviously, but it is also often ignored. So maybe it's not so common. It's sensical, but it might not be that common because most of us, myself included, will occasionally make an impulse purchase. And if done occasionally and done at reasonable levels, then okay, that's fine. That's not going to, it makes you feel good for a little while, kind of like Christmas in July, and a little pick me up. For me, it's usually cigars. I find a new cigar that I really like, and I end up paying $20 for, a cigar. We don't tell my wife that. We have separate bank accounts for those type of minimal purchases. It's okay. We've already discussed this. But that's usually where I succumb to an impulse purchase. But for everyone has their own thing that they do. And it's okay if done in small doses. But if it becomes routine and regular and the impulse buys become larger, now you got a problem. Now it's a matter of behavior and self-restraint or lack of self-restraint. And it makes you feel good in the short term to buy the thing, the purse, the shoes, the wallet, the jacket, the pants, the bike, whatever the thing is for you, it makes you feel good for a little while, but it's often fleeting. And then all of a sudden the new thing, a couple weeks is old news. And then you need another new thing to make you feel good. So that's not healthy financial habit. So be mindful of impulse purchases. Try to limit them. Try to keep them occasional and keep them small. And then you can get that little bit of enjoyment without derailing your overall financial plan. Okay, here's another one. Co-signing loans. Now, a lot of people don't co-sign for loans. So this doesn't affect a large group of people, but for those that do, it's very impactful. So co-signing a loan means that you are equally responsible for the debt. Oftentimes, parents will co-sign a loan for their young adult children who don't have much, if any, credit built up yet, and the bank will ask for or require that they have a co-signer on the car loan for the junior who's 23 or 24. And of course, parents are like, oh, okay, yeah, we're willing to do that. What that means, though, is the co-signer, mom and dad, are equally responsible for the loan that junior gets for the car. And if junior defaults on that loan, in other words, does not pay it back completely or in a timely fashion, then the parents are on the hook for the payments. And that will negatively impact the parent's credit score and financial stability. So the loan, if you co-sign on a loan, it shows up on your credit report. Even though you're not the primary borrower, and in this example, the kids are, it's going to show up on mom and dad's credit report as if you're the co-signer, it's showing up on your credit report as well. And guess what? Your kid's late payment is your late payment as well. If they don't make the payments on time, it's going to show up on your credit report as late. And that's going to negatively impact your credit score and make it harder for you to get qualified for the loans you want to get. Or if you do, you might have to pay a premium in the interest rate because your credit now is somewhat compromised due to the late or missing payments from the primary borrower. So it's okay to co-sign loans, but just be careful and know what you are signing on for. Essentially, you are responsible for a loan that you are not paying back. So it's obviously it's better to be responsible for a loan you are paying back because you control that. You don't control what somebody else do, even if they're your kid and you can put some influence on them. You know, we all know how kids are. You can tell them all you want, but a lot of times, you know, they're going to do what they want, and sometimes there are going to be negative financial repercussions. Okay. How about this one? Not having insurance. Now, this is pretty prevalent when it comes to a certain demographic and health insurance, and namely young males in their 20s. Until Obamacare, which extended parental insurance for their kids up to age 26, usually once the kids turned 18 or 21, entered the workforce, they're on their own. Now it's up to 26, so this doesn't quite happen as much, but it was definitely prevalent that young males especially would just forego health insurance. Like, I got a job, I'm not paying $200 a month for health insurance. I'm young, I'm healthy, I'm 10 foot tall, I'm bulletproof. Yeah, well, I thought that too, but we know we're not. That's immature. That's not the adult way to look at insurance. Certain insurances are necessary. That's for sure. Car insurance, homeowners insurance, health insurance. You've got to have some level of insurance coverage to protect against catastrophic loss. And insurance provides that safety net that can prevent significant financial loss and protect the rest of your assets and prevent you from going into significant medical debt that you can't pay back, and then that shows up on your credit report, and now you have a financial obligation that you didn't pay back. It's on your credit report, and no bank is going to make you a car loan or a mortgage. Okay? So insurance is a necessary evil, and we recommend that our clients have a healthy emergency fund and be lightly insured. So insurance is important, but the right type of coverage is even more important. But we do it responsibly. We do it strategically so that we get the insurance coverage we need. We try to keep our premiums as low as we can, and we use our emergency fund to fill in the gaps. And that is much more financially efficient and much more palatable to even those young males who don't want their health insurance. All right, that's all the time I got for tonight. Going to be back in 2 weeks on Tuesday, March 11th at 6 p.m. I'm certified financial planner Kevin Zivna. You've been listening to Dollars and Common Sense on News Talk 790 WNIS.
The preceding program was sponsored and paid for by Wealthway Financial Advisors. We are solely responsible for its content.